Dealing with TYT politics. I hope everyone's having a great day. Sorry, I know that you may have not seen much of my face. These lives have been less frequent, but I was in LA last week working a lot, so I haven't had a ton of time, but I wanted to update you on the tax bill that passed late on Friday or Saturday morning. It passed at around 2 a.m. technically on Saturday morning. And I wanted to give you some of the interesting angles from it and basically just what the bill does, and then how Bernie Sanders' amendment to protect Social Security and Medicare was shot down. So yes, the bill was approved just before 2 a.m. In a 51 to 49 votes, so kind of close. And it now heads to conference where the House and Senate negotiators will work out the differences in their bills. Senator Bob Corker was the only Republican to vote no on the measure. The senator from Tennessee has been a vocal opponent of President Trump and has been outspoken in how much he dislikes President Trump. Lots of dunking on him on Twitter, which has been great, and good on Bob Corker for doing this. I guess when you don't have much to lose in terms of your donors, you're not running for re-election, you can vote against this horrendous tax bill. Susan Collins, the resistors, said she was a moderate that was going to keep Trump in check, and she's a woman and all this stuff. Everyone keeps telling me, just put women in office and everything will be solved. No, it depends on what they believe. She voted for the bill because she received assurances on cuts to Medicare and Medicaid that they would not happen, but more about that in a second. So in the bill, 62% of the tax benefits go to the top 1%. Republican legislation 101, right? Of course. 0.3% of taxpayers see their taxes go up with an average hike of $170, but 28% see their taxes go down by $1,640 on average. These percentages vary widely between income groups. Within the middle quintile, people earning $54,700 and $93,200 a year, 65.6% would see their taxes go up. So that is a very large swath of the American public. That's what we would call maybe in some areas of the country, the middle class. They would see their taxes go up. 65.6% would see their taxes go up. But only around 1.8% of the very richest 1,000th of Americans would see a tax hike. So this, again, this is a Republican bill. There is no surprises here. Perhaps what's surprising is just the general brazenness of it. I don't know. The bill reduces the corporate income tax rate from 35% to 20%. Republicans always say how high the 35% rate is, but it would be on the high end if corporations didn't offset those breaks with overseas tax shelters. So it's not really that great. The effective tax rate paid on profits for new investments in the United States was about 24% in 2014. The congressional rate that they just put forward is lower than the effective rate without having closed those tax breaks that allowed them to pay that lower rate in the first place. So the effective rate before was 24%. Now the rate that they just passed is 20%. So it's going to be even lower than 20%. They didn't close those loopholes or tackled going after those tax shelters overseas. Even lower than 20%. So when you hear a Republican friend or a trickle-down fanboy talk about how the corporate rate is higher than in other countries, know that this is not the actual rate that they pay. There are tons of loopholes, and they send it overseas. They send their money, and they make sure that it isn't taxed. The bill also repeals Obamacare's individual mandate. So the repeal will raise around $338 billion to pay for tax cuts focused on corporations. So the individual mandate is a key part of the Obamacare legislation. It allows for costs to be down, deductibles to go down, but this individual mandate repeal will lead to 13 million fewer people having health insurance by 2027. So in addition to raising cutting taxes for corporations and for the wealthy. They are repealing the Obamacare individual mandate, so they're going after people's health care as well. 13 million fewer people having health insurance by 2027, of course. The most immediate effects, this is from Vox, are on people with individual market insurance, including that subsidized by Obamacare, and people on Medicaid. The CBO finds that 3 million fewer people would have individual market insurance, and 1 million fewer would have Medicaid in 2019 if that mandate goes away. 5 million fewer each would have Medicaid and individual market coverage in 2027. The remaining millions are people with employer-based coverage who would lose it. So once again, they did find a way to skewer Obamacare and make sure that it is way less effective than it already has been. I obviously think that single payer is the way to go. I think Obamacare was a step in the right direction, but of course, the Republicans don't really care about health insurance. What they care about is their donors. And they've made it clear, you know, you listen to quotes about how they have to pass this tax bill brazenly. I remember in New York, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the representative, but a Republican representative from New York said, my donors are saying, don't call me again if you don't get this through. That's really the state of American politics right now. I've never heard a quote more that lays it out more clearly. And that's why this bill is as craven as it is because they have to appease their donors. I'm going to get to the Bernie Sanders bill in a second, but I really think these details are important. The tax bill increases the standard charitable deduction substantially from $6,350 to $12,000 for individuals and $12,700 to $24,000 for couples. I thought the Republicans say how you help the less fortunate is through tax cuts. I mean, is through charitable donations, not through raising taxes on the rich and social programs for the poor. But then they want to make it harder for people to donate to charity because they can't deduct them. So that's really part of the horrors in the bill, and I wanted to let you guys know about that. But what also is interesting is that Bernie Sanders introduced an amendment in this kind of crazy going back and forth that was happening late on Friday night. It was a point of order to try and force a 67 vote threshold for future bills that cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and that amendment failed. Of course, only one Republican senator voted yes, Susan Collins of Maine, yet even though this failed, she voted for the bill anyway because she received assurances that they wouldn't cut Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, when that's absurd because the bill in itself cuts. Maybe it doesn't say, we're cutting from Social Security and Medicare, but the effects of it do cut from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So Susan Collins, that was a complete attempt to save face on her part, and the resistors should be very disappointed. We all knew that Susan Collins wasn't on our side in the first place. I'm glad she voted against the healthcare bill, but that doesn't mean she's some progressive. But anyway, Susan Collins voted yes on the Bernie Sanders amendment. Didn't matter. 3 Democrats voted against this. It's really effectively 2, but I wanted to let you know. Tom Carper, Democrat of Delaware. Dick Durbin, Democrat of Illinois. He's the one who's off the hook. And Mark Warner, Democrat of Virginia. Dick Durbin's vote was procedural. He voted no so the Democrats could reserve the right to bring the bill back up for consideration. But Carper and Warner, not so much. Mark Warner, who, again, if he tries to run in 2020, I'm going to pull all of my hair out because he is not progressive. He is in the running for the most conservative Democrat in the Senate. And Mark Warner, because he has such a public face since he's on the Senate Intelligence Committee and he's going after these Russia investigations, so he has a very prominent face, of the Democratic Party right now, but he was part of the bipartisan gang of six that went after, quote, entitlement reform. You know why people feel entitled to Social Security and Medicare? It's because we pay into it. So that's why it's entitlements. Yes, we are entitled to it. We pay into it with our taxes. So he was a part of that group that spearheaded those cuts. He's always been for cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, etc. Even President Obama was entertaining the idea a few years ago. He changed his tune when basically the progressive base was like, how dare you? But Mark Warner was a part of the Democratic Party that was interested in doing that. So his vote should not surprise you. But remember their names. Tom Carper, senator from Delaware, and Mark Warner, senator from Virginia. These were the two Democrats that thought that, yes, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid should be on the table when we talk about tax reform. Remember their names. Again, sorry guys, this was a little scattershot today. I have a lot going on. So a little overworked, but hey, hanging in there. Have a good day.